What do we got, Gavin? First up, Mark Pocan.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys have been following, Amazon has just been having quite a month or so now with the unionization efforts in Bessemer, Alabama. And now that drama has been compounded by recent Twitter exchanges Amazon's had with various detractors, people pointing out their very unethical business practices when it relates to their treatment of labor. And one such exchange was from Mr. Mark Pocan, who's from Wisconsin, a representative, was a co-chair of the Bernie Sanders campaign. And he took to Twitter to point out and call out Amazon. Basically, he said in this exchange right here, he says, paying workers $15 an hour doesn't make you a progressive workplace when you union bust and make workers urinate in water bottles. And
I think we covered this when he tweeted that.
Yeah, exactly. So he's making a good point here that, just because Amazon pays higher than the minimum wage in a lot of states, that fact in and of itself does not make you a progressive workplace.
They only did it because Bernie publicly shamed them into it anyway.
That's a great point too. Yeah. And I mean, we could hire someone here at the Vanguard to, edit our videos or whatever. And, if I'm slapping them in the face and not allowing them to take work break or bathroom breaks, like that doesn't make it a progressive.
You will shit in a bag if you work for the Vanguard.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter what you're being paid. I mean, if you're being treated subhuman, then it's not a progressive workplace. It's not an acceptable state of affairs, especially for a company that can more than afford to treat its workers right and afford them time to, use the bathroom, a basic human necessity. That's why they call it, when nature calls. You can't just not go to the bathroom, right? So anyway, Mark Pocan, obviously this tweet has gone viral since because Amazon responded and says, you don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing, do you? If that were true, no one would work for us. The truth is that we have over 1 million incredible employees around the world who are proud of what they do, have great wages and healthcare from day one. So obviously that's horseshit. And it seems like this Amazon news, tweeter is on like cocaine or something, getting all like defensive and all offended by this, comment by Mark Pocan, again, pointing out something that's widely known.
Because it's true, right? This is the same week that the Ken Cliftonstein article comes out. That's why it's on Mark Pocan's mind, right? That's why we were all thinking about this, because the internal documents at Amazon revealed that this was, or did that come after this tweet? I'm sorry, maybe the dates are mixed up.
That came after this tweet. So Amazon puts this snarky comment out here about, you don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing. Then a few days later, Ken Klippenstein reports for The Intercept about how, in fact, like you were about to say, internal documents show that Amazon is in fact aware of that, basically really exposed them as liars and just, really just exposed Amazon. So that's triggered now today, or yesterday rather, this article on the Amazon, about Amazon.com, where they're kind of responding to and quote unquote apologizing, although it's a very weak apology, to Mark Pocan for this Twitter exchange. So it's pretty interesting that, and it's funny too, the language they use. This was an own goal. We're unhappy about it. And
this is so Silicon Valley. Like, you might as well be like, this was such an epic fail.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like computers tech bro language. And having a blog on about Amazon is one of the it's so ridiculous, and it's agonizing as somebody who has spent a more amount of time in the startup community, a shameful amount of time, guys. I did 2 years of a mental breakdown in business school. I saw how the sausage was made, guys. I was an intern at a venture capital firm. I know all of how these people talk and think about the world. It's all about maximum extraction. But the other side of it is that they have this weird linguistic system that they all fall back on. And there's so many tropes in there. And this is just exemplifies all of them.
Yeah, exactly. And it also led to one of the greatest headlines I've seen in a while. And that's from Business Insider. Amazon apologized for a snarky tweet and acknowledged its delivery drivers.
This isn't The Onion either.
Yeah, it's not The Onion. This is Business Insider. Isn't that probably the funniest headline you've ever seen?
Oh my God. It's so fucking, it sucks that this is the most powerful company in the world, and that things like this aren't going to impact it that much. Jeff Bezos is, technically he's left, and he's, no longer the CEO or whatever, but it's still his company. He still calls the shots. It's one of those kinds of deals. And at the end of the day, if this does at all impact their bottom line, it's negligent, just like it would be negligent to their bottom line if they gave workers a sense of humanity. Like going to the fucking bathroom. Like you shouldn't even have to ask your fucking boss to go to the bathroom. You should just be like, hey, I'm going to the bathroom now. But the fact is that they won't even allow it, that, oh, that's not permitted right now. It should be against the law. And it's so obvious. But people feel so unempowered. They feel like there's nothing that they can do, that this is inevitable. They've completely given up, and this is the reality that we've come to accept in America, and it's devastating, to be honest.
It is devastating, yeah, and it's unfortunate too, because like you mentioned, they are the biggest company in the country and one of the biggest in the world. And as they say here, the truth is we have 1 million incredible employees around the world, and people wouldn't work for us if our workplace wasn't progressive. It's like the reason why people work for Amazon in such high numbers in droves is because thanks to outsourcing and NAFTA and trade deals like that, you can't really work in a lot of
Walmart and Amazon.
Yeah, you have to work at Walmart or Amazon. In a lot of towns, including Bessemer, Alabama, there really isn't much else as far as employment goes. Again, thanks to outsourcing, thanks to the complete devastation of our small towns and main streets, and the outsourcing to giant corporations, and where labor is cheaper abroad, for example. But the point is that people have to work for Amazon, and Amazon is even knowingly using that fact against workers in Bessemer to try to scare them into voting no on unionization, basically implicitly threatening to close up shop and everyone be out of a job in the event of unionization. So it's really disgusting the way this works.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that, it's crazy how this is manifesting in ways that a lot of us don't get to experience. I remember one time I flew into, Gavin, actually, we've both flown into the Cincinnati airport together. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, one time, the time that, for both times, for rather unfortunate reasons. Anyway, for people who don't know, the Cincinnati airport's actually in Kentucky. It's rather confusing. It's actually in Hebron, Kentucky, okay? So Hebron, Kentucky is like a lot of other places in America that you've never fucking heard of, right? Very disparate, lots of green grass, open spaces, and the job opportunities are extremely limited. So you have nearby the Cincinnati airport as you drive out a ways towards the airport. You have the hotels and the kind of like restaurants that pop up around there. But you also have massive, massive amounts of Amazon facilities that pop up around there as well. And Amazon is actually, I don't know if they've completed this, but when I was there, they were in the process of actually buying their own section of the Cincinnati airport specifically for moving Amazon packages. And I was talking to this woman who, basically her job was to go to a third party and sign up, and, they would outsource her to some other warehouse, and she would work at that warehouse for the day, kind of like a temp worker, right? And the only jobs that were available in this region to almost basically to anybody, regardless of how qualified you are, because there's just no other opportunities there, are these factory jobs. So you can either work for Amazon for $15 an hour where you have stable pay, or you can be kicked back into this weird contractor work where you sign up and you're a temp every day and you work for temp agencies, and they contract you out, and maybe you get 50 cents more an hour when you're a temp worker, or I don't know how the fuck it works, but maybe there's an incentive to make it worthwhile, but you have no security. You have none of the social safety nets and welfare. And these are the choices that people have to make because there's just a dearth of opportunity in middle America, because like we mentioned, Walmart and already cleared it out, and now Amazon's doing it even more, and these people have no choice but to work at these places because there's no other place to work.
Right, exactly. And here in this quote unquote apology to Pocan, which again is just pathetic, they basically try to make an excuse and say that, like, we do know that our drivers have trouble finding restrooms because of traffic or sometimes rural routes. But this has been especially the case during COVID. This is a long-standing industry-wide issue. It is not specific to Amazon. So basically, they're just trying to say, like, we're just part of this horrible problem. We're not actually the problem itself. And it's true. Walmart also exploits their fucking drivers. All these companies do. It's not just Amazon we should be focusing on. It's all of them. That is a good point. But, that's no deflection for Amazon to just be like, well, we're just as bad as, Walmart and all these other companies which exploit their truckers. And again, it's not just the shitting in bags and pissing in bottles thing. It's also drivers falling asleep because they're overworked and they have to make these cross-country journeys in a certain, time frame. They're not shitting in bags and pissing in bottles because, they're in a rural route and there's no fucking
Yeah, you know what
gas
you do
station.
when you're out
get
on
out
a
of the
rural
car.
road? You just
get out
don't
of the
take
car.
a piss in the grass if you're in a rural
Exactly.
area. Yeah.
If you're the reason why they're having to defecate in bags is because they're on a time crunch to get from fucking Kansas City to Minneapolis in 6 hours or whatever. And if they don't, they're gonna get fired or have their pay docked. So yeah, they're gonna defecate in a fucking bag. Again, it's not because it's a rural road or because of traffic. This is so dumb. And again,
even if you're just staying in the same city, right? If I have to go to 12 different locations in Los Angeles and one's, fucking in Oxnard, and then I have to get all the way to fucking Ventura and it's, 5 p.m. and I'm on the whatever the fuck highway I would be on, it's going to be busy as fuck. And on top of that, they're going to not care that the traffic is terrible. And you're not going to be able to be like, oh, I have to bump these packages until tomorrow, guys, because my shift's over. Like, that's not how Amazon works. So you're forced to try and work in this window or else get a penalty. And eventually lose your ability to do this work. That's why they're shitting in bags. Because if they didn't shit in the bag, they would jeopardize their only fucking last remaining economic income, right? Their last revenue stream, their employment with this. Or it's not even employment, right? They're fucking contracted workers. They get no rights when they're the drivers that are delivering shit, I'm pretty sure.
It just continues to blow my mind how crazy it is that they're just like, well, we also partake in this horrible dehumanizing practice of exploitation just because other companies do too. It's like an abusive ex-boyfriend or someone saying like, sorry, I beat you, but look at these statistics. It's pretty common for boyfriends to beat their girlfriends. So therefore I'm fucking absolved. Like, it's still abuse. It's still exploitation. It's still unacceptable. And for one of the richest companies that gets trillions in government subsidies, it's fucking insanity to not pay taxes and then to behave like this and treat your workforce like this. Meanwhile you're taking out the post office, taking out Main Street, taking out all this shit, privatizing the fuck out of the roads. It's and outrageous.
Controlling the whole fucking internet, by the way.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's that story.